Chapter 10. Liberation. General Cody watched with satisfaction as Jackson was escorted into his office. He noticed the fresh bruises on his son's face and glared at the soldier. "What happened?" Cody demanded. The soldier hesitated. "The prisoner attacked us, sir." Cody's face twisted with anger, and he snapped, "He is not a prisoner. He is my son." Without hesitation, he punched the soldier with a single knockout blow. "Get him out of here," Cody ordered, motioning for another guard to drag his unconscious comrade away. He turned to Jackson, forcing a smile. "So, besides the recent events, how are you?" Jackson's gaze was defiant. "What's going on here, and what did that nurse stick me with?" Cody grinned, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "This is the beginning of a new world. I'm creating super soldiers by mutating genetic strains. Some experiments failed, but others, like your friends, have developed abilities we are still trying to understand. I had you injected with the serum to see how your body would respond." Jackson felt a chill run through him. "You put that stuff in me? What if I turn into some monster?" Cody shrugged, his voice icy. "That's a price I'm willing to pay." With a press of a button on his sleeve, a dozen guards entered, pointing weapons at Jackson. Jackson's heart raced, but he clenched his fists and held his ground. "Where is Rosa?" he demanded. Cody replied, "She's with your sister, Rico, and Vega. You'll be joining them soon." Jackson's stomach churned, fearing what was happening to his sister and friends. But he kept his cool, biding his time. Meanwhile, on the other side of the facility, Rosa slowly regained consciousness. She heard a faint, persistent humming in her ears, and her skin tingled with a powerful, burning sensation. Testing her strength, she tugged at her restraints, and they snapped. Heart-pounding, she crept to the door and, finding the hallway empty, slipped out. Her surroundings blurred as she moved with breathtaking speed. She reached the lab where Jesse, Rico, and Vega were held, breaking the locks and opening the door. Inside, Rico and Vega stared at her in amazement. "What's happening to us?" Rico whispered, shaking slightly. "My skin is hot and these chains just snapped." "I don't know," Jesse replied, scanning the room. "But I need to find my brother and get us out of here." Suddenly, Rosa gasped, her face contorting with fear. "They're coming." "Who? The guards?" Rico asked. "No, worse." Out of the ventilation ducts and cracks in the walls, mutated creatures poured in. Huge, grotesque beetles and slugs, clicking and oozing toward them. Jesse's heart leaped in fear, and Rico shouted, "Run!" But Rosa held up a hand. "Number, I think I can control them." She lowered her voice, speaking to the creatures. "Help us." The creatures paused, their attention on Rosa. At that moment, guards rounded the corner, weapons drawn, and fired at the group. Rosa, calm and focused, whispered, "Attack!" With a terrifying speed, the creatures surged forward, tearing through the guards as screams echoed through the halls. Blood and chaos filled the corridors, and alarms blared throughout the facility. In his office, General Cody heard the alarms and barked into his communicator, "What's happening?" "Sir, the lab is under attack," a soldier's voice responded, panic clear in his tone. Cody's face darkened. "Send every available unit to contain it." But he knew it was too late. With the compound in disarray, Cody grabbed Jackson as a hostage and retreated to his secure HQ, ordering his remaining guards to fall back with him. Once inside, he activated the facility's loudspeaker. "This has gone far enough," he announced. "I have Jackson here, and the facility is rigged to explode. Leave within 5 minutes or be destroyed." In the hall, Jessie clenched her fists. "I'm not leaving without my brother." She turned to Rico, Rosa, and Vega. "Go, I'll get Jackson." Without waiting for an answer, she tapped into her newfound speed, racing through the compound until she reached the fortified door to Cody's HQ. With a surge of strength, she smashed through the door. Cody stood on the other side, stunned at her raw power. A guard, prepared for the breach, fired an electrode, and Jessie went limp as electricity coursed through her. "Jess!" Jackson screamed, his voice filled with desperation. Suddenly, something awakened inside him. With a fierce glare, he looked at each guard, and one by one they crumpled to the ground, their bodies crushed by an invisible force. Cody watched, both delighted and terrified by his creation. At that moment, Rosa appeared at the doorway, her army of mutated creatures tearing through the floor beneath Cody's feet. With a look of pure rage, she commanded the creatures forward, and they devoured the ground below, sending Cody plummeting into the darkness, his scream echoing as he disappeared. Jackson rushed to Jessie, lifting her up. "We have to go! Now!" Jessie nodded weakly, and they ran, joined by Rico, Rosa, and Vega. The building shook as explosions tore through it. With no other escape, they sprinted toward the nearest window. Together, they crashed through the glass, free-falling 3 stories as the entire compound erupted in a fiery blast. They landed in a field, rolling in a tangled heap. Rico was the first to get up, looking around, and rushed to help Jackson, Vega, and Jessie to their feet. "Are you guys okay?" Jackson and Jessie nodded, breathing heavily, their faces smudged with dirt and exhaustion. Vega smiled with relief. Rico moved away, scanning the area until he found Rosa. "You all right?" he asked gently. Rosa smiled, a strange calm on her face. "Surprisingly, yes, and I don't feel them anymore. The bugs, they're gone." Rico exhaled, relieved, and the two of them walked back to where Jackson and Jessie were holding each other tightly. Jackson looked down at his little sister, pride and gratitude flooding his face. "You found me," he whispered. Jessie looked up, her eyes glistening with emotion. "I don't know what I'd do without you, Jackson." They hugged, clinging to each other as the first light of dawn bathed them in warmth. Together, they had broken free from Cody's control, but they knew the world was still in turmoil. With newfound powers, a deeper bond, and each other, they faced the unknown, ready to rebuild and create a future free from fear. The end.